turn it over a few times to save the starter motor a bit, so it's not too stiff and stuck up. I bought this car the end of 2006, so I've had it nearly 14 years, and it seemed in quite good condition when I had it, and I thought I just had to change the spark plugs, but actually I had to put in new pistons and do the valves and lots of things. I put on another back axle. I've had to do a great deal of repairs on it, but it's fine. It's going nicely now. They'll come out in a bit. Now he's chasing another hen. Okay. Oh, come on! Come on! Come on! Up! Up! Come on! Come on! For you. We've been here nearly 30 years, and it's Judy who planted these crab apples. They make a very good jelly. They're probably the firmest thing. And this year we've tried crab apple with Calvados, which is a strong sort of liqueur from a bit further down in France, and actually that's gone very well. People seem to love it. So I'm going to take enough to boil and crush. We'll make one more.
Oh look, it's under dishes for artists. So wonderful.
We're here about 4 or 5 years before Judy hit on the idea of jam. I had some money, an uncle in India had lent me and my father helped. We managed to build a factory, and it was hard work, 5-star hotels. By the time we finished in 2014 and Eli, the eldest son, took over the business, we had about 40 5-star hotels, which was quite a lot to manage really, and I think we weren't very business-like. We're more interested in making a good jam. I think we weren't focused enough on money in a way. same year or just before, we set up a tea room so we could go on doing something. Though it was hard moving here and worrying leaving England, I think it's the best thing that could have happened to us. Here is my first car when I was 18, the Austin 7, and I sold it 57 years ago, and 20 years ago he'd done 600,000 kilometres in it, and it's now in Scotland. And then I got a Morris Cowley, which is 1928. I had that for 10 years. I never used it for weddings, that's the next person that bought it, and someone else has it now. But it's a much chunkier car than this. It's a French car, it's much more beautiful lines, I think, a bit more louche. This is much more comfortable, this car, much better springy, the steering's really good, and the brakes are really very good for its time. You're never going to go very fast, and a lot of the time it's just about 30 miles an hour, 35 or 50 kilometers an hour, which seems quite exciting when you're doing it. It's not designed for speed at all. And if you ever went down a hill at say 50 or 60 miles an hour, I think it would feel very frightening. It's very simple. It's 1926, so it's one of the later B12s, and then a few months later they would have been supplanted by the B14, which I don't think is as nice looking, but it's slightly more modern design, and eventually it would have vacuum assisted brakes, which would be different. But in fact we've got these brakes good now, and it's got a transmission brake, so it's got 5 drums in all, and you can drive it reasonably safely. It's in the gallery at the moment, but the gallery is dead this year with the coronavirus. Normally we'd have another exhibition each month of painters or sculptors or designers, photographers, but this year it's not going to happen, and something like having a vernissage, an opening with 35-40 people would just be too dangerous, so we can't do it. So I thought I'd bring the car in November, December. We'll have an exhibition of this car and lots of photographs and books, and, books, the engine parts, etc., to show people. So I think it'll be a different sort of clientele who will be interested. But there we are, it's worth doing. And here I've got a spare engine because suddenly parts are harder to come by than they were 12, 13 years ago. That's the earlier bronze carburettor. I've got a slightly younger version of that. It's got a magneto the other side. There's a gearbox here which we've got to clean up, and another gearbox you can see inside to see a bit how it worked, what it was. And I think I'm really happy when I'm just tinkering with them. In a way, it's away from the other stresses of life, so that's good.